Hey, guess what's happening on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with your friend and host, Oscar Camejo.
Hey, fellas, welcome to the podcast. Let me ask you a quick question. When was the last time you actually went to the doctor? Yeah, I know. Not because you had to, not because your wife or your mom or your girlfriend made you go, but because you yourself chose to. Now, there's something I need to talk to you guys about. There's a lot of things that we are missing. You know, sometimes as men, we just want to push through it. We wait it out. We figure that, you know what, eventually this situation will pass. But 9 times out of 10, by the time we actually get checked out, something that could have been caught early now has become a bigger problem. I've been there. I know what it feels like to think that you're fine, that you're okay until you actually are not okay. June is Men's Health Month, and I'm not going to let it pass without talking to you directly because this is important. We deserve more than just a reminder to go get a prostate screening. We need to talk about what actually is happening on the inside. Yeah, the belly fat, the blood sugar, the low energy that, we want to regain. We want to get our energy back. You know what? Our gut keeps getting bigger and we need to find out what's going on. That's why today we're kicking off a series specifically for men's health. So I need you to stick around to hear the rest of today's episode. It's important. Let's go. Be sure to visit the website at www.beatingdiabetesLifestyle.com for access to free resources and other information that will help you along your journey. If you would like to submit a question or a comment about the show or to learn more about the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle, you can always email me at hello@beatingdiabeteslifestyle.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Welcome to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with me, your host, Oscar Camejo, helping diabetics make lifestyle changes to reverse type 2 diabetes. If this is your first time here, welcome to the show. Pull up a chair. We talk real issues. There's no fluff, no complications, no complicated programs or anything like that. We deal with practical lifestyle habits that actually work. If you've been rocking with me for a while now, then you already know what it's all about. Either way, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. If you haven't already, share this episode with someone that you know in your life who really needs to hear this message, especially the men. Now, as always, you can find me online at beatingdiabeteslifestyle.com or go ahead and shoot me an email. All right, folks, let's get into today's episode. Now, folks, this is the start of something very special. All month long, we're running a men's health series right here on the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast. We're going to be talking all about things that matter mostly to men, especially when it comes to managing our health. We're going to be dealing with the gut. We're going to be dealing with our weight, energy, blood pressure, cholesterol. And today we're kicking off part 1 of this series. We're calling this series From Gut Belly to Gut Health because we all need to have a healthy gut. Not just what we see on the outside, but also what's going on the inside. Today, we're talking all about why your gut health matters way more than you think. Not just aesthetically, folks, not because of how you look with your shirt off, but because of what's happening on the inside with your body right now. So stay with me. Part 2 is coming. But I need you to lock in today. And trust me, you don't want to miss any of it. All right, folks, I need to be straightforward with you. Gents, sometimes we try to tough it out. You know what I mean? We like to grind. We don't like to complain. We don't want to sound like we're weak or that we're just complaining and whatnot. We like to push through whatever we're dealing with. And sometimes we like to do it silently. And in a lot of ways, that toughness, yeah, it serves us sometimes. But when it comes to our health, yeah, that same toughness sometimes can cost us a lot of years off of our lives. You know, folks, I know this personally. I used to be 268 pounds. I had a 44-inch waistline. Yeah, man. I was on medication for blood pressure, cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes. And the whole time, I thought I was handling it. I thought everything was fine. I thought I was fine. But you know what? I was not fine. My situation was not okay. I was at risk of having a heart attack. You know, I don't like to get real serious, but what was happening at the time was I was not taking my health serious enough. My A1C was at 12%. My cholesterol was way out of whack. And looking back, the signs that were there for years, I just wasn't paying attention, folks. Or maybe I was paying attention, but just not paying attention enough. So I want to share some research with you real quick. Research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that men are significantly less likely than women to seek preventative health care, resulting in higher rates of undiagnosed chronic conditions, including type 2 diabetes. Men, here's what I want you to take from that. Yeah, research could be just research. Maybe it's just information, but there needs to be a revelation. It's not that we don't care about our health. I think you do care about your health. Is that nobody taught us how to pay attention to the right things. That's why today we're going to change all of that. So most men focus on one thing when they think about their health. It's the stomach. It's the belly. It's the gut. Because the belly is the most visible sign that something is off, that something is possibly wrong. Some of us, we don't want to look in the mirror. But when we do, we see the gut. You know, it's not where we want to be. I know. I remember telling you, for those of you who've been watching for a while, that I used to think of myself as just this big, huge walrus. I get it. But here's what most men don't realize. The belly, yeah, that's what you can see. That's just what's happening on the surface. That's just what we see on the surface. But the real damage happens on the inside. But here's what most men don't realize. The belly fat that you can see, yeah, that's just the surface. What's happening underneath that fat is where the real trouble starts. We're talking about two different types of fat, folks. There's the subcutaneous fat, right? There's that fat, subcutaneous fat. And by the name, sub meaning under. That's the fat that's just underneath the skin. That's the fat that you can pinch, you can feel it. And yes, it's a concern. But then there's another type of fat that a lot of people don't realize. And I had to learn this myself. There's what's called visceral fat. Visceral fat sits deep inside your abdomen. It wraps around your internal organs, like your liver, your kidney, and your intestines. And a lot of times we don't realize the effect that it's having. And you know what? Visceral fat is not just something that's a cosmetic problem. It's an active health threat, folks. And we really need to pay attention to that. Now, I need you to check this out because when it comes to all this stuff, you know, I can be a nerd. When it comes to anatomy, I love human anatomy. A waistline of 40 inches or more for men is a major warning sign. Let me say that again. 40 inches or more. That's not just a number that's on a measuring tape. That's a signal that visceral fat is likely building up around your organs. And with that comes a real risk of high blood pressure, high sugar, heart disease, and other issues and conditions. That's the gut belly we're talking about today, folks. And we really need to dive in. We're going to talk a little bit about some science and do like a good deep dive. And I want to break this down for you because when it was broken down to me and I got an understanding, it changed my life. Now, why does this belly fat have such a big impact on the rest of our health? Well, it comes down to what visceral fat actually does in your body. Visceral fat is not passive. Visceral fat is metabolically active. Now, that means it doesn't just sit there, right? It releases chemicals. It triggers inflammation. It sends signals to the rest of your body. And those signals, yeah, folks, they cause problems. Now, here's a chain reaction. Visceral fat increases inflammation in your body. That inflammation, in turn, makes it harder for your cells to respond to insulin. When your body stops responding to insulin the way that it should, your blood sugar starts to climb. And then over time, that becomes pre-diabetes, then type 2 diabetes. Now, I want to share some research with you that really should hit it home for you. According to the American Diabetes Association, men with a waist circumference over 40 inches have a significantly elevated risk of developing type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease compared to men with smaller waistlines. Now, I need you to let that sink in for a moment. Like I mentioned, it's not just about looks. It's not about aesthetics. It's about what that fat is doing to your blood sugar right now. You know what? There is a gut health connection that I want you to understand. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, folks, because the gut belly is connected to something most men never think about, and that's gut health. Your digestive system is home to trillions of bacteria. We call that our gut microbiome. Yeah, it blew my mind when I learned this stuff. And the health of your microbiome affects almost everything else, folks. Your blood sugar regulation, metabolism, your immune system, your energy levels. And I'm like, wow, your gut affects your mood. It affects your focus. If you're dealing with mental fog sometimes, yeah, you need to check this out. When your gut bacteria are out of balance, and that can happen from poor diet, stress, lack of sleep, or too much processed food, your body has a hard time managing blood sugar. It stores more fat. It produces more inflammation, and the cycle just keeps going and going, folks. Poor gut health does not just affect your stomach, folks. It affects your entire mood. It affects your entire body. Now, we need to dive into what that gut health actually looks like. Now, here's the thing. Most men are walking around with gut health problems right now and don't even realize it. They don't know it. They're not paying attention to the signs because we've normalized how bad we feel. Do any of these sound familiar? You're tired all the time. You're not just sleepy, but you just feel like you're dragging all the time. You're forgetting your keys. You're losing focus. Sometimes your focus is off. You're more forgetful now than you used to be. You're dealing with constant bloating, gas, even some digestive issues. And, your appetite is probably all out of whack. You're gaining weight. Your mood isn't consistent. You feel sluggish after meals. Folks, I've been there. What I'm telling you is not just something that I just read online. This is stuff that I've had to deal with myself. These are not just signs of just getting older, folks. These are sometimes signs that there's something going on in your gut, and what's going on in your gut is working against you. And when your gut health is off and you've got that visceral fat building up, your blood sugar is already tough to spot, folks. That's why we got to break this cycle. We got to pay attention. We have to give ourselves a fighting chance to turn things around. So now let me show you how this cycle works. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You eat a lot of processed foods, fast food, and drink sugary drinks all the time. That disrupts the balance of good and bad bacteria in your gut. That bad bacteria, guess what they do? They multiply. That inflammation goes up and keeps building. Your body becomes more resistant to insulin. Your blood sugar climbs and keeps climbing. You wake up in the morning, your blood sugar numbers are high. Your body stores more fat, especially around the belly. And because you're tired all the time and you're stressed and your energy is low, you reach for comfort food again and again and again. And the cycle keeps going. It keeps starting over and over. That's why so many of us feel stuck sometimes. And folks, let me tell you something. It's not an issue of willpower. It's not laziness. It's a cycle that's been running in the background for years. But you know what? How about the good news? The good news is you can interrupt the cycle. You can turn things around. Listen, if I was able to do it and maintain good health, not because I did something special, you can too. So here's the good news. And I want you to hear this loud and clear. As I've said before, your body is resilient. Your gut can heal. Your stomach health can improve. The inflammation can come down. The blood sugar, yeah, it can improve as well. And men who make consistent lifestyle changes, they actually see results. Not overnight. It takes time, but they do see real, measurable results. Now, I want to share some more research with you that's important. Studies show that lifestyle interventions, including dietary changes and regular physical activity, can significantly improve your gut microbiome diversity, reduce visceral fat, and lower blood sugar levels in men with type 2 diabetes within 12 to 16 weeks. Fellas, did you hear that? 12 to 16 weeks. Things can turn around. That's 3 to 4 months. Things can turn around because of consistency, intentional lifestyle changes, not a crash out diet. You know what I'm saying? You're not crash dieting, not something extreme like an extreme workout program. Nah, just the right habits done consistently, having those non-negotiable things that you stick to. And that's what this series is all about. And that's what we're going to get into in part 2 as well. We're going to be talking about the specific practical steps you can take to start improving your gut health right now, because you deserve to feel better, fellas. You deserve to have the energy to show up for your family. You deserve to wake up without feeling like you got run over by a truck twice. You know what I'm saying? And it starts with understanding what's happening in your body, which is exactly what we did today. is to create an awareness. So fellas, here's what I want you to start before part 2 drops. It's not a whole plan. It's just some awareness around things that you can do right now. Again, a little bit of awareness goes a long way. Step 1, know your numbers. I keep emphasizing that. If you haven't had your blood work done in the last year or so, that's step 1. Get it done. Stop putting it off. Ask your doctor for your A1C, your fasting glucose, your cholesterol panel, and your blood pressure. You need to know what's going on and find out about what's going on with your kidneys as well. These are 4 numbers that tell you a lot about where you stand right now. You can't fix what you don't know. Now, step number 2, I need you to find out the measurement of your waistline. Go grab a measuring tape or go to your gym and have them to measure your waist from your belly button. And be honest, it's okay to know where you are. If that number is 40 inches or above, write it down. It's not to panic or feel bad about yourself. That's just knowing what your starting point is. So get step 2 done. Again, it's not a reason to panic. It's a reason to get moving. So now let's go on to step number 3. Pay attention to how you feel after you eat. Now, for the next week, pay attention. I want you to start noticing what's happening. After you eat a meal, how do you feel? Do you feel energized? Do you feel bloated? Do you feel sleepy? Do you feel uncomfortable? What's going on in your body? I need you to pay attention. You know, sometimes we eat a meal and we just watch television and we're not paying attention to what's going on. Your body is giving you feedback constantly. And most of us, we just aren't paying attention. We're not listening. I need you to start listening, fellas. This is very important. And you know what? There's a lot that I can go into, but for today, that's it. Part 2 is where we get into the practical moves to actually improve your gut health. But awareness has to come first. You have to see the problem clearly before you can solve it. You know, folks, I always want to be encouraging to those who are watching, to those who are listening. If you are a lady who is concerned about the men in your life, I want you to share this episode with them. Gentlemen, I want you to hear this. You're not too far gone. It doesn't matter how many years you've been dealing with this. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried to stop. What matters is that you are here right now and that you're paying attention. And that's where it all starts. So stay tuned to part 2 of our men's health series. We're going to be talking about exactly what you can do to start improving your gut health, bringing that belly fat down, bringing that gut down, and giving your blood sugar a real fighting chance. If this episode hit home in any kind of way, do me a favor, share it with somebody. Share it with a brother, a friend, a husband, a coworker. Share it with the men in your life who need to hear this but won't look it up themselves. Give them a little encouragement. And remember, you can find a bunch of free resources on my website at beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com. Now let's get out there and create a greater awareness and put a lot of this stuff into action. So folks, as always, stay focused, keep moving, never go back, leap forward, bounce back because you can, my friend. And above all else, trust God. You got this. I believe in you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with Oscar Camejo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a physician or other healthcare professional or qualified fitness instructor. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you're looking for help on your journey, seek a qualified medical practitioner. It's important that you utilize someone who is a trained, licensed healthcare professional who can help you on your journey toward good health.